Have you ever looked back at someone who came into your life and thought that couldn't have just been random? Maybe it was a friend who disappeared without warning, a lover who shattered your heart, or even a stranger who said something that struck you like lightning. At first it feels like coincidence, bad luck, life just doing what it does. But what if I told you, none of it was random? Carl Jung, one of the most profound minds in psychology, never believed in coincidence. He believed in patterns, in soul contracts, in something deeper guiding the connections we make. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's not just a quote, it's a roadmap, a whisper from the universe saying, look closer. What if the people who broke you were sent not to hurt you, but to reveal you, to show you what you've been avoiding, your wounds, your fears, your worth? The universe doesn't send comfort, it sends clarity. Every person who steps into your life is a reflection, a mirror. Sometimes that mirror is kind, sometimes it's cruel, but always, always, it's honest. Think back, that friend who ghosted you. Maybe they were teaching you to stop begging for belonging. That partner who betrayed you. Perhaps they were pulling you out of a story where you confused pain with love. These weren't just people, they were assignments, messengers from your soul. This isn't about blaming others or romanticizing suffering. It's about awakening. It's about understanding that life isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you. And the moment you stop asking, why did this happen, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me, that's when the healing begins. So let this be your invitation to look again at the people who entered your life, not as mistakes, but as mirrors. Even the ones who left you in pieces, because maybe, just maybe, those broken pieces weren't a loss. They were a map pointing you back to yourself. Have you ever wondered why certain people entered your life just to leave you broken? Why someone you trusted disappeared without warning? Why love felt so real until it hurt more than it healed? We often think people come into our lives to complete us, to love us, to stay. But what if the truth is, they came to reflect something back to us? Something we couldn't or wouldn't see on our own. Carl Jung believed that people are not random events, they are mirrors. And the reflections they show us aren't always gentle. Sometimes they reveal our fears, our wounds, our hidden beliefs about what we think we deserve. It's rarely about the other person. It's about what their presence activates inside you. Think about the one who loved you deeply, then left. They might have been showing you how attached you were to the idea that love must stay to be real. Or the one who manipulated you through tears and guilt. Were they revealing the part of you that still believes love has to be earned through suffering? And what about the ones who gave you no closure, who simply vanished? Maybe their silence wasn't punishment, but a divine interruption. Maybe they were sent to teach you the most sacred lesson of all, that you are your own closure. This isn't about romanticizing pain, it's about recognizing spiritual precision. These people weren't punishments, they were spiritual surgeons sent, not to comfort your ego, but to awaken your soul. Let me ask you something personal. Has there ever been someone who pushed you to your edge, and in doing so helped you find your center? Maybe they didn't stay, maybe they didn't apologize, but after they left, you started healing. You began remembering who you were before the world told you to settle. See, we often confuse pain as failure, but Jung would say pain is feedback. It's the soul's way of saying you're out of alignment. And here's where it gets even deeper until you acknowledge what lives inside of you. The unhealed, the unspoken, the unmet parts. You'll keep attracting people who mirror that back to you. Not because the universe is cruel, but because your soul is committed to your evolution. That's the hard truth and the beautiful one. So maybe the betrayal wasn't about them being heartless. Maybe it was about you finally learning to stop abandoning yourself. Maybe their silence wasn't rejection, it was redirection. And when you begin to look at people not as accidents, but as assignments, everything shifts. You stop saying they hurt me and start asking what part of me was ready to heal. Because healing doesn't always come in light. Sometimes it walks in dressed as darkness. And yet those shadows, they don't come to stay. They come to be seen, to be felt, to be integrated, and through that to be transformed. So the next time someone enters your life and stirs something painful, pause before you label it a mistake. Look into the mirror they offer. Ask, what truth are they showing me about myself, and dare to face it. Because that is how the unconscious becomes conscious. That's how the soul awakens. And maybe, just maybe, they didn't come to love you forever. They came to lead you back to the love you've always needed, the one within. Let's talk about something that might shift how you see every relationship you've ever had. What if I told you that the people in your life weren't just people, that they were messages, lessons wrapped in skin emotion and timing, that their arrival wasn't accidental but a sacred activation, a soul contract being fulfilled at exactly the right moment? Carl Jung once said, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life." And the more I sit with that, the more it rings true. You see, the universe doesn't always send clarity through peaceful signs. Sometimes it sends people. People who light you up, people who break you down, people who walk in wearing the mask of love, but carry the medicine of truth. These aren't just relationships, these are revelations. Have you ever had someone enter your life and almost instantly you felt like your world cracked open, like something ancient inside you remembered? That isn't coincidence, that's a soul contract activating. That person didn't come to entertain you, they came to awaken you. Some people arrive gently. They speak to your pain with compassion. They feel like home in a world that never made sense. They are your healers. But others, they come like wildfires. They challenge everything you thought you knew about love, identity, and safety. They don't come to comfort. They come to collapse the illusions you've built around who you think you are. And as painful as it is, they are just as important. Because here's the deeper truth. The people who wound you the most often carry the blueprint for your transformation. They mirror the very parts of you that you've hidden, denied, or refused to love. And in doing so, they lead you, sometimes kicking and screaming, back to your authentic self. Let me ask you something personal. Is there someone in your past who hurt you so deeply that at the time it felt unbearable? But looking back now, you realize it cracked something open inside you that needed to be seen. Maybe it was a breakup that forced you to face your dependency, a betrayal that stripped away your naive trust, or a friendship that ended without closure, teaching you that you are your own completion. These people were not sent to destroy you. They were sent to disrupt your false self. Jung believed that the soul is on a mission to become whole, and the ego, it resists that mission. It clings to comfort, approval, and familiar identities. So when the universe needs to get your attention, it sends someone to challenge your comfort zone. These are the people who activate your shadow, the ones who stir your insecurities, your fears, your old wounds. But don't curse them, because their role is sacred. Their presence is part of your evolution. It's easy to love those who bring peace, but the ones who bring chaos, they are often the real catalysts for awakening. So the next time someone enters your life and everything in you feels shaken, pause. Don't rush to label it as bad. Ask yourself, what contract is being activated here? What part of my soul is being called into awareness? Because the universe doesn't waste energy. It doesn't send people by mistake. Every connection carries meaning. Every interaction holds a mirror. Every relationship, whether lasting or fleeting, is here to evolve you. And the ones who hurt the most, they often carry the keys to the parts of yourself you're finally ready to reclaim. Let's be honest, pain changes you. Not in the poetic feel-good way we see on inspirational quotes, but in the real, raw, deeply human way. It breaks you. It breaks your beliefs. It breaks the illusion that you're supposed to have it all together. But what if that breaking is exactly where your becoming begins? Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And if you've ever had your heart shattered, your trust betrayed, or your self-worth torn apart, you know exactly what he meant. Pain is not just pain. It's a portal. The people who wounded you, they weren't just villains in your story. In the strange divine order of things, they were midwives. They delivered you to a new version of yourself, a stronger one, a more awakened one, not because they were kind, but because their absence forced you to finally meet your own presence. Let that settle for a moment. The wound they left didn't just bleed, it spoke. It asked you to stop giving your worth away. It asked you to stop confusing attention with love. It asked you to finally build the boundaries you were too afraid to draw when you were busy trying to be liked. Have you ever realized this? That the people who hurt you the most are the ones who revealed what you needed to heal the most. Maybe it was the partner who disappeared when you were most vulnerable that taught you to never abandon yourself again. Or the friend who betrayed your trust that forced you to finally get clear on who deserves a seat at your healing table. You didn't get weak because of them. You got honest, because the truth is your soul isn't looking for comfort. It's looking for freedom. And freedom doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from transmuting it, from using the fire that burned you to forge new strength. That's what Jung meant by transformation. He understood that the shadow, the part of us we hide, reject, suppress, doesn't go away by ignoring it. It softens when we face it. It integrates when we say, yes, that wound hurt, but it also awakened me. Let me ask you this. What if your deepest heartbreak wasn't a failure? What if it was a redirection? What if it didn't ruin you? It revealed you. Because here's the truth. Every time you've been cracked open, you've had a chance to rebuild. Not weaker, not bitter, but wiser. This is the medicine most people resist. We want the lesson without the loss, the awakening without the ache. But life in its divine mystery knows better. It knows that sometimes the only way to return to your truth is to walk through the fire someone else lit. And even though it hurts, you survived it. Even though it broke you, you grew beyond it. And now you get to stop asking, why did they hurt me? And start asking, what did I discover inside myself because of them? That's the real gift. Because your wound, it's not just something to hide. It's something to honor. It's where the light got in. It's where you found the courage to protect your peace, the clarity to say no, the wisdom to stop settling. You didn't just survive the pain, you evolved through it. And that evolution, that return to wholeness, that's what makes the wound sacred. Have you ever locked eyes with someone for the very first time and felt like the conversation already started lifetimes ago? No introduction, no effort, just an inexplicable knowing, as if your soul whispered, oh, it's you again. That feeling, it's not random, it's not chemistry, it's soul recognition. Carl Jung believed in the collective unconscious, a spiritual blueprint beneath our awareness, where memories from other lifetimes live untouched by time or logic. And when you meet someone who feels like home, before a word is spoken, it's not coincidence, it's remembrance. Because souls don't travel alone. They travel in packs across lifetimes through different roles connected by purpose. And in this life, those soul companions may return as lovers, friends, teachers, even rivals, not because of fate in the romantic sense, but because of soul contracts, agreements your soul made before this lifetime began. Some were meant to love you, to hold you gently through your pain. Some were meant to shake you awake, to challenge your ego, your beliefs, your patterns. Some were meant to simply appear for a moment, just long enough to trigger a memory, activate a lesson, or remind you of something you already knew but forgot. Have you ever met someone who didn't stay long but changed your life forever? That's a soul contract in action. It's not always beautiful. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it cracks you open. But always it's sacred. Because these connections aren't just relationships. They're reunions. And sometimes the most intense ones are the briefest. Like a comet flashing across your sky, gone before you can name it, but leaving you forever altered. You say, "I've known you forever," but what you're really saying is, "My soul remembers you." This is why some people feel safer than logic allows, why a stranger's touch can calm your nervous system, why someone you just met seems to see through all your masks. They're not just new people, they're old mirrors. And in those moments, everything aligns. The noise of the world fades, and for just a heartbeat, you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Now here's the deeper invitation. Don't cling to every connection. Not all soul contracts are meant to last. Some were designed for one chapter, one turning point, one awakening. The person who cracked you open and walked away. They weren't abandoning you. They were fulfilling a promise. The friend who showed up just when you were drowning, then disappeared. They were a guide, not a passenger. Even the love that felt cosmic, but didn't stay. That was a return, not a destination. So instead of asking, why didn't they stay? Ask, what did our souls come together to remember? Because when you look at life through the lens of soul contracts and past life bonds, even heartbreak becomes holy. You stop chasing permanence and start honoring presence. You stop forcing people to stay and start listening for the lesson they came to deliver. Because here's what Jung understood. The meeting of two souls is never random. If there's energy between you, there's meaning. If there's memory, there's mission. And if there's transformation, there's truth. So trust it, even if it's brief, even if it hurts, even if it doesn't make sense to the mind, because your soul already knows. And maybe, just maybe, the ones who left in this lifetime are the very ones who helped you remember who you came here to be. Let's be real, one of the hardest lessons in life is learning that not everyone is meant to stay. Some people enter your life like cherry blossoms, delicate, breathtaking, and fleeting. They appear for a moment so beautiful, so alive, that you almost forget they were never meant to last. Their magic lies in their impermanence. They're not here to take root in your life, only to remind you that not all beauty is meant to be held. Some is meant to be witnessed. And then there are the storms. The ones who come crashing in, loud, raw, unpredictable. They don't ask for permission. They tear through your plans, your illusions, your carefully built identity. At first it feels like destruction, but later, you realize it was liberation. They didn't come to ruin you. They came to strip away everything that was never truly you. These people are the catalysts, the ones who force your transformation. The ones who shake your foundation just enough so you can rebuild it stronger, truer, freer. And then there are the roots. You might not notice them right away. They don't speak in grand gestures. They don't make dramatic entrances. But when everything falls apart, they're there, quiet, steady, unshaken. They hold you up when you forget how to stand. They believe in your light even when you're sitting in the dark. They remind you who you are when you've lost sight of it completely. These are the soul companions, the rare ones who walk with you, not just through the highs, but through the hidden, aching spaces where most people turn away. Carl Jung believed that every person in your life plays a symbolic role. He said, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And this is the awakening. Not everyone is your forever, but everyone is your mirror. And here's the trap we all fall into. We try to make every connection permanent. We cling to cherry blossoms and beg them to grow roots. We hold on to storms, hoping they'll turn into sunshine. We confuse a teacher for a soulmate and a lesson for a lifelong promise. But the universe doesn't work that way. It sends people based on where you are in your growth, your consciousness, your healing. Once the message is delivered, the lesson complete, they might leave. Not because something went wrong, but because the contract is fulfilled. So instead of asking, why didn't they stay? Ask, what did they activate in me while they were here? Did they awaken your self-worth? Did they mirror the wounds you hadn't yet faced? Did they hold up a mirror to your potential or to your pain? That was the purpose. Because every encounter is an echo of something greater, a pattern unfolding, a chapter turning, a new version of you being born. And maybe, just maybe, the one who left wasn't a villain. They were a messenger, and their exit, it wasn't abandonment, it was spiritual design. So if someone walked away from your life and it broke your heart, pause before you curse the ending. Look deeper. Because the more you honor the exit, the more aligned the next arrival will be. And the more you trust the rhythm of people coming and going, the more peace you'll find in knowing. You don't have to hold on to everyone. You just have to receive what they came to offer. Sometimes they don't explain. They just leave. No long goodbye, no final conversation, no apology, no reason, just silence. And if you've been through that, you know how loud that silence can be. It echoes in your chest. You find yourself replaying old messages, searching for the one thing you missed, the one moment that could have changed everything. We call it looking for closure. But what if I told you, closure doesn't come from them? It never did. Carl Jung once said, what you resist persists. And when we resist the truth that someone was only meant to stay, for a season, not forever, we trap ourselves in a loop. The pain isn't just because they're gone. It's because we keep fighting the truth that they were never meant to stay. You see, we've been conditioned to believe that real love doesn't leave, that if someone truly cared, they'd explain themselves, give us answers, help us feel at peace. But that's not always how soul lessons work. Some people come into your life to awaken you, not to walk beside you. They come to shake your foundation, reflect your wounds, or mirror a part of you that needed to be seen. And once their role is complete, whether it felt healing or hurtful, they're gone. Not as punishment, but as completion. That's the deeper truth. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. And yes, it hurts. Yes, you deserve honesty, respect, even kindness. But waiting for someone who already chose to disappear is handing them power over a chapter that no longer belongs to them. Let me ask you something gently. What if the lesson wasn't about them apologizing, but about you realizing you don't need it to move on? What if their silence was actually sacred space for you to hear your own soul, louder than ever before, because real healing doesn't come when they text back. It comes when you stop needing them to. It comes when you sit with the pain without trying to bargain it away. When you choose to stop bleeding energy into what's already ended. When you stop begging ghosts for permission to let go. And in that space, quiet, raw, uncomfortable, you reclaim something powerful. You. So the next time you find yourself scrolling through old conversations, hoping, waiting, overanalyzing, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, if they could walk away without explaining it, means they've already said everything they were meant to say. Not in words, but in absence. Their exit was the closure. Their silence was the final line. And now, the rest is yours to write. You don't need them to circle back. You don't need one last conversation to set yourself free. You just need the courage to stop seeking what was never yours to carry. Because here's the truth Jung would whisper into your healing heart. Closure doesn't come when they return. It comes when you return to yourself. You've spent so much time wondering why they hurt you, why they left, why they changed your life, and then vanished. But let me flip the mirror for a second. Have you ever stopped to wonder whose life did you change? Whose soul did you unknowingly awaken just by being you? You see, it's easy to forget this part of the story. You're not just the student in someone else's journey, you're also the teacher in someone else's transformation. That quiet kindness you offered on someone's darkest day, that boundary you set, that made someone rethink how they treat people, that one conversation you don't even remember but they'll never forget. Yes, that was you. You were the light. You were the mirror. You were the spiritual detour someone else's soul was waiting for. We tend to think spiritual teachers are gurus, monks, or best-selling authors. But Carl Jung taught us something deeper. He believed we're all connected through the collective unconscious, a vast soul blueprint, where every interaction is a thread in a much larger tapestry. And in that sacred weaving, your presence, your energy, your pain, your healing has touched someone, even if you never hear about it, even if they never say thank you, even if they disappeared the moment after you helped them shift. You were still the catalyst, you were still the lesson, and it matters. Maybe you were the one who walked away, and in doing so, taught someone what self-respect looks like. Maybe your silence became the echo that led them inward. Maybe your love was the first real love they'd ever felt, and that alone rewrote their entire definition of worthiness. You don't have to be perfect to be impactful. You just have to be present. And you were. You were the turning point in someone's emotional spiral. You were the reason someone chose growth over giving up. You were the inspiration behind a boundary they finally built. Isn't that wild to think about? That while you've been sitting in silence, healing your own heart, someone else has been healing because of what you once said or did. You may never know their name. You may never hear their side of the story, but your soul remembers, because nothing is wasted in this universe. No act of love, no spark of truth, no flash of presence. We are not isolated, we are woven together. You're not just a receiver of lessons, you're a transmitter of wisdom. Your pain has echoed through someone else's breakthrough. Your healing has made space for someone else to begin theirs. So the next time you feel small, forgotten, invisible, remember this. You are not just a seeker of meaning, you are a source of it. And even if they never come back to say it, you were the one who helped them change. That's the quiet power of being human. That's the sacred gift of being you. Let's talk about the people who hurt you, not the ones who left quietly, but the ones who tore something open inside you. The ones who made you question your worth, your sanity, your ability to trust again. We call them the wrong people. But what if they were exactly right for your growth? Carl Jung once said, "What you deny in yourself will appear in the people you attract." Sit with that, because the people who triggered you the most were often just holding a mirror to the wounds you've been avoiding. The partner who disrespected you. They didn't just treat you poorly, they reflected the part of you that had yet to fully respect yourself. The friend who abandoned you when you needed them most. They mirrored your deepest fear that you were always going to end up alone. The person who manipulated your emotions until you didn't know who you were anymore. They exposed the belief hidden deep in your subconscious that love must be earned through pain. It's hard to hear, I know, because we want healing to feel soft. But sometimes it arrives wrapped in heartbreak. These wrong people, they weren't punishments. They were reveals. They didn't ruin you. They revealed the version of you that tolerated too much. They brought to the surface the unhealed inner child who still just wanted to be chosen, to be seen, to feel safe. So no, you didn't lose them. You found yourself. And now you have a choice: to keep blaming the mirror, or to finally start healing the wound. Because healing starts the moment you stop saying they hurt me and start asking what part of me allowed that hurt to stay. That's not about shame. That's about power. That's about reclaiming your authorship in the story of your life. You see, responsibility is not the same as fault. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you caused the pain. It means you now choose how to respond to it. It means you stop waiting for an apology and start building boundaries. It means you stop romanticizing the chaos and start protecting your peace. That's where the transformation lives. You stop writing long paragraphs to people who give you silence in return. You stop shrinking your light to make others comfortable. You stop searching for closure in people who were never meant to understand your depth. Instead, you sit with yourself. You soothe the child inside who thought love was something to chase, and you become the one who finally chooses you. Jung believed that we don't become conscious by reading quotes or repeating affirmations. We become conscious by facing our shadow, the parts of us that get reflected through the people we attract. And once you see that clearly, you stop attracting the same pain in different bodies because the lesson has landed. So maybe the person who broke your heart wasn't your forever. Maybe they were your turning point. Maybe they weren't your soulmate. Maybe they were your mirror. And in that mirror, you didn't just see your pain, you saw your power. Let me ask you something you've probably felt, but maybe never said out loud. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly felt heavy, like the air changed, but no one said a word? Or met someone who looked kind, said all the right things, but for some reason your body tensed the moment they got close? That's not your imagination. That's not overthinking. That's your soul reading what your mind hasn't yet caught up to. Because here's the truth, energy never lies. Long before your thoughts form, your nervous system is already scanning the energy in the room. Before your brain can reason, your body already knows if something feels safe or doesn't. And Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that every human being carries a kind of energetic field, what we might call an emotional signature. It's not just made up of what we say or do. It's made of our memories, our traumas, our joys, our unresolved pain, and our intentions. When two people meet, it's not just skin eyes or words interacting. It's fields of energy colliding. Have you ever noticed this? Someone says, "I love you," but your chest tightens. Someone gives you a compliment, but you walk away feeling drained, not uplifted. Why? Because words are easy to rehearse. But energy is the truth underneath the performance. You can fake a smile. You can memorize empathy. You can wear a mask of kindness. But your energy tells the real story, and your soul, the oldest part of you, listens. That's why Jung didn't just study behavior. He studied the invisible threads between people. He believed the unconscious mind picks up everything, the tone shift, the micro-expression, the pause between words that reveals more than the words themselves. So when something feels off, even if it looks perfect, trust that. That off feeling, it's not paranoia, it's alignment detection. It's your intuition whispering, this energy isn't safe for me. And the more healed you become, the less you'll tolerate energy that feels false, even when it looks beautiful. You'll stop explaining why someone drains you. You'll stop second-guessing your gut, because your body has been keeping the score long before your brain ever noticed the red flags. And here's where it gets even more powerful. The people who feel calm, grounded, open, the ones who don't need to impress you. They're the ones who have done their shadow work. They've sat with their own pain long enough not to project it onto you. You feel safe around them, not because they're perfect, but because they've made peace with their energy. That's the kind of person who energizes you, not through excitement or charm, but through presence. Real, honest, grounded presence. So let me ask you, who in your life gives you peace without needing to say a word? And who makes your shoulders tense even when their smile seems warm. Start paying attention to those signals, because your soul doesn't speak in language, it speaks in feeling. You don't need to understand it all. You don't need logical proof. If it feels heavy, honor that. If it feels off, trust that. If it feels light, safe, expansive, protect that. Because as you rise in consciousness, your peace becomes sacred, your nervous system becomes your compass, and your energy, it becomes the filter for who gets close and who doesn't. Remember, the soul always knows long before the mind understands. So don't wait for evidence. Don't wait for explanation. If your soul flinches, that's enough. If your spirit expands, that's home. They left, let them. No chasing, no begging, no bargaining with the past. Because when someone walks away from the most honest version of you, they were never aligned with the most awakened version of you. Carl Jung once said, "You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become." And in those words lies a deep truth. Letting go isn't about losing them. It's about choosing yourself. It's not a collapse, it's a spiritual upgrade. It's your soul saying, "I'm done carrying what no longer aligns with who I'm becoming." You see, the real pain we feel when someone leaves isn't always about them. It's about what they represented. It's about the version of you that was still attached to their presence to feel complete. We grieve that version. We grieve the old story, the one that said, "I need them to feel worthy. I need them to feel enough." But here's the breakthrough. You don't. And the moment you stop holding on to who you were when they loved you, you make space for who you are when you fully love yourself. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's when your soul whispers, "No more settling, no more shrinking, no more waiting for someone else to validate what I already know." And yes, it hurts. It hurts to outgrow people. It hurts to realize that what once felt sacred was only seasonal. But that pain, it's not the end. It's the doorway. A doorway into deeper clarity, into stronger boundaries, into a relationship with yourself that doesn't require someone else to feel real. Think about this. Are you mourning their absence, or are you mourning the part of you that once thought you needed them to survive? Because that's where the shift begins. You stop writing paragraphs they'll never respond to. You stop replaying old conversations hoping for a different ending. You stop waiting for closure and you start writing your own. That's where the gift lives, in the release. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about forgiving yourself for staying too long, for believing they were your future when they were just a mirror for your healing. And here's what most people don't tell you. The universe doesn't fill full hands. It waits. It waits for you to put it down, to let them go, to say, "I bless what was, but I choose what's next." And the moment you do, the moment you choose peace over patterns, growth over grasping something powerful shifts. The people who are meant for your healed self begin to arrive, not to complete you, but to meet you as you are, whole, clear, unapologetically rooted in your own enoughness. So if you're holding on, ask yourself not what you're afraid of losing, but what part of yourself are you finally ready to reclaim? Because maybe letting go isn't the ending. Maybe it's the awakening. You don't need to be rescued. You just need to remember. That's the truth most of us miss on this healing journey. We search for someone to save us, someone to fill the ache, complete the sentence, bring us back to life. But the deeper truth, you were never lost. You were just disconnected from the one place you were always meant to return to yourself. Carl Jung understood this. He didn't teach that we had to become something new. He taught that we had to reclaim what we already were beneath the masks, the stories, the conditioning. And when you really look inward, you start to see it. Healing isn't becoming someone better. It's unbecoming everything you were never meant to be. You're not rebuilding, you're revealing all those layers, the shame, the doubts, the people-pleasing, the silent self-abandonment. They were never your truth. They were just the survival strategies you built to protect the most sacred part of you, your wholeness. Let me ask you something gently. What if you stopped trying to fix yourself and started listening to yourself? What if your anxiety isn't a flaw, but a messenger from the parts of you that have been silenced too long? What if your breakdowns weren't failures, but the soul's way of breaking open the shell you outgrew? Because here's what they don't teach us growing up. Your healing doesn't come from becoming someone new. It comes from remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And that remembering, it's quiet. It doesn't require applause. It won't look flashy on social media, but it's the most powerful thing you'll ever do. It's in the moment you no longer chase love, because you've finally fallen into your own arms. It's when you stop outsourcing your worth, and start standing in it. It's when your breath slows, your shoulders soften, and you whisper, "This is who I am, and I'm enough." You don't need fixing. You needed space to breathe, to feel, to return, to step away from the noise of not good enough, and come home to the quiet truth that you always were. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are the witness, the wisdom, the light that survived it all. And now you rise not as someone reinvented, but as someone remembered. This is the return to self, to soul, to sovereignty. And it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need to be dramatic, because the deepest transformations often happen in silence. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. It's time to stop running, stop searching, and start remembering. You were never broken, only buried. And now you're coming home. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever searched for love so deeply in someone else that you forgot to give any of it to yourself? You clung to their words. You waited for their call. You prayed for their presence to fill the empty spaces inside you. But here's the gentle truth most of us avoid. The love you were chasing was never theirs to give. It was yours to remember. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." We think we're unloved because someone left, or because no one said the right words at the right time. But more often, we're simply disconnected from the deepest voice inside, the one we've ignored for too long. You water other people's gardens, you light their path. You become the caretaker, the listener, the lover. But have you turned that same light inward? Do you speak to yourself like someone worth loving, or do you wait, hoping someone else will finally see what you've been too afraid to recognize in yourself? The truth is, you've always been enough. Not when they love you, not when they stay, but right now as you are. Breathing, becoming, belonging. Loving yourself isn't arrogance, it's not vanity, it's a spiritual reclamation. It's saying, even if no one claps, I still choose me. It's taking yourself on a walk and feeling full, not lonely. It's crying without shame. It's laughing without apology. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I see you, and you're worthy of love that doesn't come with conditions. So here's a gentle reminder. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not hard to love. You were just taught to give away the love you were always meant to keep for yourself. And now it's time to bring it home. To stop performing for affection. To stop overgiving in hopes of being chosen. To stop waiting for someone else's validation to feel like you matter. You matter because you exist. You matter because your presence holds weight. You matter because your soul, quiet, sacred, eternal, is already enough. So the next time you catch yourself craving a message from them, send one to yourself. The next time you hope someone shows up, let you be the one who shows up. With gentleness, with truth, with boundaries, with presence, because you're not here to beg for love. You're here to embody it. And when you do, you don't attract chaos anymore. You don't magnetize half-hearted love. You draw in mirrors of your light people who reflect the peace you've built inside. That's the gift of self-love. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's unshakable. Because when you finally come home to yourself, you stop waiting to be chosen. You realize you always were. What if I told you that every person you've ever met, every conversation that lingered in your mind, every heartbreak that cracked you open, was never random, not a mistake, not a detour, not bad luck? What if it was divine design? You see, we spend so much of our lives asking the same questions. Why did they leave? Why did they hurt me? Why did that connection end without closure? But maybe the more powerful question is this: what part of me did they awaken? Because if you look closely, every person you've crossed paths with brought something to the surface. A hidden fear, a buried wound, a forgotten truth. And whether they stayed for a lifetime or disappeared in a season, they played their role. Carl Jung said it best: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But what if fate isn't a script written in stone? What if it's a series of soul agreements designed not to trap you, but to wake you up? Think about the one who ghosted you. You felt abandoned, confused, maybe even worthless. But what if they were never meant to stay? What if their silence pushed you to finally listen to your own voice? Or the one who broke your heart wide open? What if that pain wasn't there to destroy you, but to dismantle everything inside you that thought love had to be earned? That friend who betrayed you. What if they weren't just a lesson in trust, but a turning point in learning how to trust yourself? This is not about sugarcoating pain. It's about reclaiming meaning. It's about stepping out of victimhood and into spiritual perspective. Because the truth is, you weren't abandoned. You were redirected toward a higher frequency, toward people who can meet you where your soul actually resides, toward a path that aligns with the version of you you're still becoming. That's not rejection, that's refinement. And let's go deeper. You weren't just a student in all of this. Yes, you were hurt. Yes, you grew. Yes, you healed. But you were also the trigger, the mirror, the guide. There is someone out there who still remembers a sentence you said that changed the course of their thinking. There is someone who healed because of your presence, even if they never told you, even if they left right after. You don't have to be famous to be impactful. You don't have to be perfect to be a teacher, because healing isn't a hierarchy. It's a circle. We learn, we reflect, we awaken, and then we unknowingly pass that same torch to someone else who's just beginning. You've been the one on the floor crying at midnight, asking the universe why it had to hurt this much. And someday, maybe without realizing it, your story will become the medicine for someone else asking the same question. And that's what makes this all sacred. The hurt wasn't meaningless, the loss wasn't wasted, and the people who came and went, they were not coincidences. They were soul blueprints, designed, aligned, timed. So no, you're not crazy for still thinking about someone who left years ago. That pull is energetic, that thread is ancient, but maybe now, instead of asking why they left, you ask, what was I meant to learn from their presence? Instead of asking, why didn't they love me? You ask, what part of me still needed my own love? Because the soul doesn't evolve through comfort. It evolves through awakening, and awakening almost always begins with something that hurts. But here's the beauty of it. When you stop seeing your life as a series of random events, you begin to see it as a divine map, with every heartbreak pointing you toward healing, every loss clearing space for something truer, every ending redirecting you home. And home is not a place, it's a remembrance of who you were before the world told you to be anything else. So what now? You forgive. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You release. Not because they didn't matter, but because your growth matters more. You thank the pain not because you wanted it, but because it revealed what was already living inside you. And most of all, You stop chasing closure and you start choosing clarity. Because once you know that it was never random, once you understand that the universe doesn't waste connections, once you realize that every person was a mirror, you stop blaming them for the break and start blessing them for the breakthrough. So here's your quiet revolution. You no longer need to be chosen. You choose you. You no longer chase love. You become it. You no longer search for meaning. You realize you are it. You are the design. You are the thread. You are the message someone else needed. And that is not random. That is soul work. That is remembrance. That is the privilege of becoming who you truly are. So the next time someone enters your life or exits without explanation, pause. Don't ask, was this real? Ask, what soul lesson just arrived or just left? Because in the end, this isn't chaos. It's choreography. This isn't heartbreak. It's initiation. And you're not just surviving it. You're becoming through it.